3 years ago, came to London, found out about this place called Core Arts, which is in St Barnabas Terrace, and came here and looked around in this sort of medicated out state I was when I first got out of hospital. Looked around and yeah, I liked it. I thought, yeah, this is a good place. I'll be able to work here.
It feels like it's a bit of a club, and it's very welcoming, and you just draw up a chair and you have a coffee, and it's easy to chat to people, and there's a whole sense of community here, and to work in that is very creative. I think it brings out the best in you.
Yes, one of the great problems, of course, with mental illness and mental health issue is the immediate isolation one feels and the stigma that's attached to it. And coming along to a place like this is absolutely brilliant, because you can just forget about that and get on with doing something creative.
Of course, been great in the sense that I've been able to share creative ideas and have been encouraged, you know, musically and whatever, to do things. And like I was encouraged to play the harmonica.
Photography is a lifeline to me, so to find somewhere that I can pursue my interest, and I want to have a job as a photographer, it's something that I've been able to evolve through coming here. If I didn't have this sort of background, it would make it more difficult to go to college just as an individual, just off my own bat. I'm here to do what I came to do. I'm here to take part in the groups. I'm here to learn.
They give me possibility to find myself as an artist and helping with everyday problems, if I even as a person, or help me find my friends.
You know, there's lots of obstacles that get in your way once you've become part of the mental health system. What happens is that you become sort of slightly an outcast in society.
Mental illness is extremely isolating. I can't stress that more, how isolating having the tag of mental illness is. I mean, you're immediately singled out as a pariah in society, and that's probably the worst thing about it, actually.
Yeah, it's very hard because people don't understand this illness, and in the beginning I find to be not open to people, really. I can't talk about nothing. I just can't talk. I try to hide this feeling because I think everybody knows.
I'm a mum, and I share the childcare of our son with my partner, and he's nearly 18 months old, my little boy, and he's called Richard. And I'm aware of being a mother who's used mental health services, and particularly when you've been in hospital and people are having assessment meetings and case conferences to discuss whether you're a competent mother or not, and those questions would never come into play, obviously, if you weren't the subject of this stigma.
I mean, you just have to mention schizophrenic to somebody and they immediately comprehend you as some axe-wielding maniac who was just about to kill you. In fact, I would say mental illness is probably the last great taboo, the last great stigma.
And other people of our age have a lot of attitudes about it, and they still think it's some scary sort of something that involves violence, or this person must be really out of control, someone to stay away from. So unless you're sure of your ground, you have to be careful what you say. And when I started producing pictures of users of mental health day centres, it was a case of, oh well, how did you get these pictures? And I didn't want to say how and why I got through the door to take those pictures. As far as I was concerned, it was an area that I wanted to present, and an area that I wanted people to see in a positive light, and not in any sort of chit-chat kind of way, or in a way that only backed up their own stereotypes.
I do find when you are performing, especially your first gig somewhere, you're very careful about how much you want to go into mental health. So when I read poems, a poem about everyday life might relate into a poem I read about being in hospital, because like you might talk about some of those struggles one goes through, but at the same time I'm, especially at a first gig, very careful about how much to go into mental health. And if you feel you're accepted somewhere, then you know, you can go deeper into it.
Also, if you end up in a mental health institution, what happens is that you end up having to be put on medication, which, although even, you know, reluctantly, a lot of us will have to accept, that does help us stabilise us and helps us stop having relapses, and it also debilitates people. They end up staying at home, not being able to work, often sleeping a lot, because that's one of the effects of the medication. It makes you very drowsy, and not getting skills, not mixing with people, and therefore becoming more wrapped up in their illness and more sidelined, and it's a vicious circle. Basically, you take these medications and you're like shaking or wobbling or something like that. It's called side effects, but it's like, how can you draw if you're shaking, you know?
I mean, one of the reasons why I went down the mental health road was I really didn't know where I was going in my life, and I really now realise I should have been doing something creative. If it wasn't painting, it will be writing, or it will be doing something creative with producing something that people can appreciate.